Like and subscribe in the next 5 seconds, or this will be in your bed tonight. What opinion or behavior would stop you being romantically interested in someone even if they ticked every other box? Scientology. I feel like don't date cultists should be number 1 on a list of dating tips. Throws arms up. Now you tell me. Bad hygiene. I dated a girl with bad dental hygiene. I didn't think it would bother me as much as it did. You know it's bad when you're scared to kiss. Did you tell her? Not that it's your responsibility, but I learned that dental hygiene is not something that people talk about often. So if your parents didn't tell you how to do things properly, you might just not know and never think about. I remember when I was at my first job, looking up what's covered by my dental insurance. A coworker said she never went to the dentist in her life. She brushed once a day cause that's what her parents taught her. She also had mouthwash at her desk. I thought it's because she took dental hygiene seriously when it's the opposite. Apparently she sometimes shows up to work without brushing her teeth and would just use mouthwash. I realized that she wouldn't know that that's not good enough if it wasn't for me offhandedly mentioning I wasn't clear with what's covered by our insurance. She thought teeth cleaning at the dentist is the dentist brushing your teeth for you. Entitled behavior. People who act like the world owes them everything when they were raised with more than most people. People who demand respect but treat others poorly. Friend went on a date where the girl virtually had a tantrum at the waitstaff until she got what she wanted, when it was her fuck up, and then looked incredibly self-satisfied and smiled at him as if he should be proud of her. Nope. Arrived separately. Left separately. Years ago I saw a couple seated at the table next to mine in a restaurant and the woman demanded something that they stopped serving there, was incredibly rude about it, berating the waiter for its removal, saying that they must still have the ingredients, and when the manager came out she said that she deserves her meal free. It was at that point her date stands up and tells her to get her own ride home and strolls out the door. Young couple too, like 20-21ish. If they have toxic friends, for a lot of reasons. I would have thought I could deal with it, but I really agree with that. My ex's best friend was one of the worst people I have ever met, and that should have been a major red flag. I firmly believe you are the company that you keep, even if you're not a bully like someone in your circle. If you're not calling them out, then you're enabling. Edit gonna add in what I wrote in reply to another person further down this thread. If you have attachment issues and you stick around with toxic folks, good chance you have toxic qualities too, like not being able to enforce boundaries, be cling, etc. If your company is miserable, you're probably miserable too. There are maybe some exceptions, but I'm speaking in general terms, and this primarily applies to adults who have personal agency over their actions, unless they're being violently threatened, manipulated, and/or being physically coerced. No one has to stay friends a toxic person. Some people have to learn the hard way, and it's part of life. I'm not condemning everyone who has toxic friends, but not actively being a bad person doesn't make you a good one either, was part of my point. Make me feel like my feelings are invalid or that theirs are more valid than mine. My mom does it and it's crushing. Wife and I have a 2-year-old. One of the biggest new ways to parent is to validate feelings. You're sad because the dog ate your ice cream? That sucks. I would be sad too. You're mad because daddy has to go to work? Yeah, I get mad when people I love leave too, as opposed to it's okay. Get over it. Oh, it's just ice cream. Just validating alone does so much to comfort and heal the shit my mom said as a result of the way I think, feel, respond to things today. I hope I can give my daughter a slightly better view. Neat. I didn't think of that as advice, but I'm thinking back on situations I had when the kids were young and we totally did exactly that. Just intuition, but seemed the right way to do it. Hey, bud, it's okay to be sad about this. I think I'd be sad too, but let's figure out how to fix it. Okay, thanks for giving it a name for me. It'll be helpful as we embark on our adoption and the next set of kids. Not believing dinosaurs are real. My wife walked down the aisle to the Jurassic Park theme, so yeah, I get that. It's an amazing score. A girl told me she had been engaged 6 times. She was 29. I know things happen, but that's a lot of things. I know things happen, but that's a lot of things. Rings. Fix that for you. When she has more rings than LeBron. Minimizing my accomplishments. I knew this woman, And if I said something like, I got a promotion at work instead of saying that it was great and that I was great at my job, she'd say something like, yeah well didn't you say Bill has really been helping you out with stuff? Or if I said, I finally beat an Iron Man run of XCOM 2, she'd say, I wish you'd find a more productive hobby. Listen lady, XCOM is draining, I worked hard at this. Productive hobby. Does she understand that the point of a hobby is like, for the fun of doing the task? Like who the hell picks a hobby based off of how productive it is? Or rather, solely because of that, rather than it also being enjoyable. I bet she's fun at parties. Edit. Guys, I'm not saying a hobby can't be productive, only that people pick hobbies because they're enjoyable to them. Being obsessed with social media or needing to document everything all the time and project a perfect version of their life. I had a boss like this. Everything was a freaking photo shoot just so she could post on social media that she could prove to her haters that she had a life. Miserable. This haters thing is basically a projection of self-hatred to other people. Truth is nobody gives a fuck. Someone who always talks but never really says anything. Say what you mean what you say. Talking heads, you're talking a lot but you're not saying anything. I remember when that lyric hit me for the first time and I realized the importance of his message. Also, I hate people when they're not polite. Every time I hear that line I'm like, hell yes, David Byrne probably worked customer service at some point. My man. He told me he would much rather make small talk with a stranger than have a deep conversation with good friends. I don't know why I didn't see it before, but that described perfectly why we never connected on a deeper level after being together for 2 years. We tried but I couldn't make it work after that realization. Edit. Since this kinda blew up, I would like to add he is still one of the nicest people I know. We were friends for years before we started dating and we still keep in contact now. He did tick a lot of boxes for me, but not that, for me personally, really important one. It was a tough decision to make, but I know we can both find someone else who will make us happier. Thanks for all the interesting stories and comments you guys shared as well. I try to respond but it's a lot. Know that I've read it all and appreciate it. Weirdly, it sounds like you finally had an almost deep conversation and he turned out to be a veritable stranger. If only he had stuck to his original rules. Nicely worded. There's poetry in the strangest places on I. Hoarding. I made this mistake once. I got into a relationship with a hoarder. I eventually realized that her deeply dysfunctional relationship to objects extended to the people around her. I was not an actual person. I was just another acquisition that was acquired and subsequently treated shabbily. I'm not sure if this is common, but I won't take the chance again. I just imagine you're sent to a room with like 50 other guys and they all say in unison, another one. Like this? Dishonesty. If you notice the person you're interested in tells fibs or little white lies early on, it's only going to be catastrophic once you clear the honeymoon phase. I learned they kept important information completely under wraps. It popped up and destroyed my trust in them. So not lying but not being completely open was bad. 2. This. My partner doesn't understand the weight of being dishonest and what that means in a mature dating world. Breaks my heart at times. Never holding my hand or not having any non-sexual physical contact. It never occurred to me that this would bug me, but at the end it made me feel like she didn't care about me and only wanted to fuck me. Being condescending. I hate it. It makes me angry. Be nice to people, except they may not be as knowledgeable as you on a subject. Don't condescend. I had an ex who was not exactly condescending, but he never once said oh really? I didn't know that. In 5 years of relationship, he always knew everything, even when it was obvious he didn't. Edit. Holy shit guys. Thanks for all the awards. Did not expect my megalomaniac ex to indirectly get me so many awards lol. People like this are unbearable, but this is fairly obvious tbh, and I already knew it. If the person you are dating makes you feel small, not in a physical sense but like you're less than them, I've learned that's my first sign to book it out of there. A guy I met who liked me and I didn't like back was like that. He'd say things like you have surprisingly nice legs for no exercise, I am an active person but WTV, or he'd say things like seriously, you can cook? I can't believe that. He was adamant I give him a chance. This is the main reason I didn't. Adult tantrums. Yep. Dated someone who I thought was great, but would regularly yell and throw tantrums when frustrated. Not directed at me, just general adult tantrums. It was almost funny at first because I didn't think it was serious. It was though. Unfortunately, I've recognized I have adult tantrums on the rare occasion. I'm also parenting a toddler and I see a lot of similar behaviors when I've calmed down. I've discussed this at length with psychologists and realized that I was brought up in a household with narcissistic parents, with my feelings never validated or acknowledged. I struggle to express myself and see how it would be for a toddler that can't really talk or do things for themselves, but wants to, through teaching him to express himself and having an extremely supportive partner. I've learned so much about how to be better within myself and for my little one. I now look back at my adult relationships and they reflect my relationship with my parents. Thank goodness I met my wonderful partner who is so understanding and nurturing himself. Edit. Grammar/word usage. I had an ex who consistently lied and omitted things, usually not about anything huge, but she had a habit of it and didn't seem to think it was wrong. The longer we dated the worse it got. Eventually it really divided us because I couldn't trust anything she said. From then on, if I discovered I was with someone who lied often as a tactic to get what they want, to avoid consequences, etc., that was pretty much the end of the relationship for me. I had a 3-year relationship with someone who lied about literally everything. It was a total mindfuck because it took me a long time to realize that he was lying all the time, about even tiny things. I left him because of this, but it broke my bloody heart as we had a fun life together. In time I realized you can't be with someone like that. Just no integrity at all. Extreme materialism. Oh, this is it for me. I admit that I do consider myself a minimalist. But if people can't prioritize their finances because they need to live beyond their means, that's not hot. The one that surprised me about myself was a whiny voice. Person had everything else going for them, but after a few hours I just couldn't stand the thought of listening to that voice over the long haul. Same, I went out with one who I swear I was debating if I should just say fuck it and leave. She didn't shut up and her voice was like a weird mix of raspy cigarette voice mixed with a child's. Was horrible, made my fucking ears hurt. I'm horribly self-conscious about my voice and this is exactly how I would describe it. An 8-year-old with a pack a day habit. Not cute at all. I respect everyone's right to be picky, but dang. Had an ex where this happened. My best friend's little sister died in a car crash and I was torn up about it. He became indifferent towards me because I was too depressed to be with. If someone can't handle being a decent human being when I'm heartbroken, what are they going to act like when it's my mom, dad, dog even? Whoops, sorry, but I don't wanna hang out because you're sad. Edit. Oh wow, this blew up. Thanks for all the karma and awards. To everyone who went through something similar. All those people suck and we're better off. Not everyone knows how to grieve, but we all find out one day. I hope you're all doing better. Red heart. Younger, I got dumped because I cried about my pet rabbit dying. I kept crying for the bun, but never did for the girl, lol. It's not what a man would do, fuck that. I'd be worried if someone didn't cry if their pet died. I dated a guy who once said he wasn't going to cry when his dog died. Later said he doesn't really care about people. If this building suddenly burned with everyone in it he wouldn't care. I think he was a sociopath or some kind of path. Dated a guy in the first month he was perfect and I was quickly falling for him. One day he said, my ex broke up with me and I fucked his life up for it, haha. Turned all his friends on him. Don't fuck with me. He said it like it was funny and he was proud. Immediate red flag, and I instantly started thinking about how I got a breakup with him. Something similar happened to me with a guy that wanted to date me. He tried to impress me by bragging about how he lied in court about his ex to get full custody of their kids, and ruined her life. If he was trying to be scary, it worked. Some people are lunatics and they truly think it's normal, so they tell you that stuff thinking you'll be on their side. The need to constantly be on your phone, totally fine with spending a lot of time on it. But if you can't put it down to watch a movie or have a conversation, then it's a problem. I can put it down for conversations. When I'm watching TV movies I tend to multitask. Currently watching Moonshiners and scrolling through LOL. especially if it's something I've seen before. There are definitely shows and movies I put it down for. Hell, I have some I turn my phone off for. If my BF says something along the lines of, "Hey, you wanna watch this?" I'll put the phone away. I might have ridiculous ADHD, but I try not to be a LOL. I understand what you're saying though. Our kids will just stare at their phones, tablets and not engage at all. It is frustrating. It has made me more mindful of my phone usage. I also draw or work on crafts in lieu of playing on my phone. How do you feel about those things? If they don't even attempt to get along with my friends, or watching videos on your phone, volume all the way up at a restaurant, on a double date. Believe or not, I dated a guy that did both, and I cringe thinking back on it. Edit. I just want to say thank you for all the awards and the comments. It's the first time I've gotten awards, so I'm super gracious and I love them all. When anyone cranks up their tinny phone speakers in public, I cringe so hard even thinking about those situations. My late father once tried to set me up with a woman from his church that he thought I should marry. I indulged him because, frankly, I was curious to see what traits he thought a good wife for me would have. I was visiting my parents at the time and he invited her to lunch with us after church. I am not religious, but used to indulge him on attending church, too. By the way, I was seriously dating someone at the time, a woman who is now my wife, and he knew this. Anyway, 5 minutes into the conversation I mentioned something I had read and her immediate response was, and I quote, "Oh, I hate reading. Matter of fact, like, I don't think I've ever lost interest in a conversation so quickly." She did not tick many of my other boxes either, but that was hilariously off base. So what were your dad's boxes to check then? Also, does your mom like reading? From his church. Puts me down. Hours have passed. Arms shaking, sweat pouring down his face. So, sweetie pumpkin, are you ready to get down yet? Like takes you to the vet to die? Being rude to retail service workers. My grandpa taught me long ago, someone who is nice to you, but rude to the waiter/s is not a nice person, and I have never forgotten it. Edit. Holy crap. Awards. Thanks y'all. I'll have to show grandpa. Exactly. What is the whole point of doing that other than to try to console your bruised ego? It's not their fault you're a bad human being. I never understood that, and after having a few server jobs and working at a movie theater when I was in high school and college, I'm always extremely nice and amicable to retail service workers. BC, I've dealt with the shit they've had to. Unapologetic arrogant ignorance. You must really hate I then. I've shared this before, but one time I went out on a first date with this girl I met online. I thought she was very attractive and we had so much common that I thought she was perfect. In addition to that, we seemed to hit off well through texts, so I figured this date would go well. We're at this bar and she suggests we play a people watching game where we try to make up backstories for the other people there. I thought it sounded fun, especially since I played a similar game with friends on the train sometimes. Plus it felt like a good icebreaker to get us talking. Well, she managed to take all the fun out the game by being ridiculously cruel in all her assumptions for no real reason at all. It felt like she was projecting issues she had onto these people. Like one guy was sitting at the bar alone. Could have been waiting for someone. You never know. But because he was alone, he was a fucking loser with no friends that hates his life. Completely killed the mood and I lost all interest in her after that. I just couldn't see myself going on a second date with someone like that, even if she checked all other boxes. That's a really interesting way to conduct a personality test, without it feeling like a test. Did you match her stories or try to lighten the mood? How did she react to your stories? This is incredibly fascinating to me. I did my best to reel things back to a more light-hearted game, which she seemed to like and laugh at, but didn't change much with her cruel approach. Littering. Honestly, to me, it's not even about environmentalism. You just have to be so incredibly selfish and lazy and entitled to feel like it's not your responsibility to take care of your own trash. That's bound to turn up elsewhere down the road. Being a cheater, or being physically or emotionally abusive to me or people and animals around me. The way a person treats their animal says a lot about them. I was seeing this guy for a couple weeks, stayed at his house for a weekend, and he had a dog. All this dog wanted was to be loved and petted and cuddled, but he would tell her no and use the shock collar, beep setting, sometimes worse to get her away from him. I noped the fuck right out of there. My dad thought I was being irrational when I told him I wasn't seeing him anymore because the way he treats his dog. If you can't love an animal who just wants your attention and love in return, I think that says a lot about the type of person you are. Edit. Thanks for all the awards guys. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Just got to work and checked if they treat their mom poorly, I've found that's a dead giveaway. Moms and wait staff. Edit. Yes, not every mother is deserving of good treatment, but I'm speaking in general. This might get buried or downvoted, but I've gone on one too many first dates with people who just talked at me the entire time. To the point where if I'm on a date with someone new and they start doing this, my brain starts to shut down and I immediately start losing interest. I get that people are nervous on first dates and probably talk more just to fill the silence, but like, and don't you want to know who I am? Maybe just a little bit. Like ask me some questions. Give yourself a break from talking. It blows my mind when this happens and then at the end they say, oh I really like you. You're great. But they literally know nothing about me because I just spent the last 2-3 hours listening to them talk about themselves the entire time. Went on a date like this once and it was awful. The other person didn't ask me one question about myself. Just talked about him, his life and his family drama the entire time. I have a rule. If I've asked 5 questions about you and you haven't asked one, there's no second date. I'm not even picky. It could be a how about you after they've answered a question. Anti-vax. Not having a capacity for compassion or empathy for others, including animals. Edit. Well this awkward. Folks, I'm not vegan. I'm really sorry if somehow my words led you to believe that, but I'm a filthy omnivore. I do love all wild's passion though. The world needs people like you. Also, I realize the moral and ethical dilemma of meat production. It's something I think about frequently. I try to give back to animal communities in other ways. Support ethical farms, TNR feral colonies, fostering, rescue of hurt wildlife, etc. Went on a hiking date with someone who littered. There was no second date. Don't litter y'all. It's selfish and ruins the trails for everyone else. Actually tonight my GF said I love everything about you, but watching you eat unpeeled kiwis like they're apples really freaks me out. As long as you kill the kiwi first, eating the burb alive is just cruel. Taking out the digestive tract helps too. If they liked me back, can't date people with awful taste. I wouldn't want to belong to any club that would have me as a member. Groucho Marx. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe for more interviews.